Here we go. See,
Oh.
I let him in. He's joined, and then he's brushing his teeth. Bro,
You telling me, bro?
what's happening, man?
I'm good. I'm alive, man, guy. I'm alive. I'm alive. You know what I mean? How's everything with you, though, man?
Boy, the last week of uni, you know.
Hey, jeez, people are studying at a different cuz.
Yeah, last week of uni, and still have to do the homeschool.
Hmm.
My wife there saying my G to you.
Uh-huh. Big
Yeah,
up, big up, big up yourself. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So it's a blessing. I'm appreciating of my black son, and I used to term black son because black boys don't do too well in school.
Hmm.
I'm appreciating of my black son at home, schooling. He's doing better than he would if he's in school. He's a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm appreciating that. I really, listen, man, I think we've been through so much in life that this is nothing.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
How about you, bro?
Bro, I'm good, man. By the grace of God, bro, making things work out here, my guy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the Lord is doing things. So, yeah, I'm literally making it work on my side. So I'm actually blessed. So yeah, bro, I just obviously we take up new campaigns. I'm sure, as you see with the whole, Black Lives and stuff like that. So, the next campaign goes on. We find a way to preach the gospel in that context, in that scenario, how to get the gospel to people. That's always a mission, bro. So different battlefield, but the same gospel. Just coming in a different, just finding a new way to just able to give them the gospel, which is simple, basic. This is what it is. You know what I mean? So that's what it is for me right now, bro. That's it. Life is good.
What was your latest live, bro? Just whilst what was your latest live?
The last one that we did was around. Oh, that was around. Oh, I literally just forgot what it was. It was around. It wasn't around leadership. It was around. Oh my days! Being a new believer, and how does that look? So being in a new covenant, how does it look to be a believer in the new covenant rather than the old? So we spoke about all the things to do the New Testament and to do the new covenant, and what that means for you. So that ends up talking about grace, and get people to understand how God is working underneath this new covenant and how he works in your life and in my life. You know what I'm saying? So we spoke about that. That was a good conversation. I think we really just had to remove some, I call it, indoctrinations of the past. Sometimes we come from sometimes the old school kind of, which is the law, which is preaching us the law and that you have to do and God does. It's almost where you get the famous saying that if God only helps those who help themselves, and it's like that's not what the new covenant is about. That's about actually God doing what you couldn't do.
I mean, it's not even true, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was what the live was about. It was good stuff, man. So we're gonna plow on and do some more stuff around the gospel, just teaching about what the gospel is and how that impacts your life. And I think just keep it simple for me. That's what I want to do for the next few kind of weeks. Just keep preaching about what the gospel is and that.
That's so powerful to hear. There's a white guy that you speak with.
Kyle.
I don't know his name, man, but whenever I just listen to that brother.
Fam? Sometimes it feels like I've eaten a whole meal when he's talking, bro.
Yes. Definitely. He's teaching me. And I guess because for me, just before we get into the topic, for me, apologetics and a breakdown of doctrine is just important for my understanding of who Christ is. That's the way I'm wired. I'm not wired to Christ on any emotional level at all.
I feel that.
I'm hooked into Christ because for me, it's just the only way forward. He was, and I believe that he existed. And no matter what anyone tells me, of all the religions I've looked at and all the questions that could be asked, creation, I'm heavily into creationism and science and Christ features. And then when you've got someone breaking it down on a real clinical and a sensible, comprehensive level in a discussion, bro, you're on the money. So I appreciate what you're doing there. That has really kind of given me a great sense of hope that people are actually having proper conversations around the faith.
Real spit.
And interestingly, you spoke. We're going to get into it, man. I'm going to put it in. I'm going to pin the comment.
Right,
Are you okay? No. Actually, what? Gosh, what men need to know? Right. Post. Interestingly, we're talking about old indoctrinating ways of thinking, and manhood has taken an attack. The way that we are, man, the way that I am. I mean, I'm born in the 70s, man, in the mid 70s, and I've got some ways that are still there, but I'm dealing with them. But when I look around, I'm seeing and hearing, because I've just finished working in youth offending again, and Juanita does as well, and you just seeing some ways about men and young men that are they're not thought out. People tend to act out of this thing called instinct and very unconscious way of functioning. Like, for example, I have 3 children, and if I'm going to be a dad, my methods have to work, or they have to show some fruit. Otherwise, I have to reevaluate, and a lot of people are not doing that. Hence, why that contributes to mental health and suicide level rates in men and black men. And then even now in relationships, we'll hopefully touch on that later on. Why specifically about men? What are we're not evaluating, and I want you to address me and just get straight for the jugular.
Straight for the jugular,
I know there's 2 things you're going to look at: pain and then intimacy. Straight for the jugular, bro. Help us understand what we have to undo and what we're dealing with. Go straight. Go.
All right. So we're in a society. I'm gonna break it like this. We are in a cult. This world, this life that we're in is a cult. That's what we call it, a culture. Okay. And in this cult, there is a deity that has set up a system that there's a way that a male and a female should function. Within a cult, there are several ways to get people to behave in a particular manner and fashion. Within a cult, you have behavioral, information, emotional, and thought as a way to control the individual to get them to behave to a certain standards that you require. Within this culture, we have information control. I'm going to just deal with that because that actually interlinks into how the person behaves, how they think, and how they feel. As a man, from the very jump when you come into this life, you have been cultivated, again, the word cult, cultivated into a particular way so that you can be reared in a certain fashion to do a certain something, all right? Yeah. So as men, we are in a society where we get thrown into an order where we are told several things. I'm sure you can even testify when you're young. If it wasn't your dad or your mom, it would have been the movies that tell you. First of all, men don't cry. Men don't cry. No, you are the head. You don't cry. You're not allowed to cry. You never see it in the movies. The strong man, the person who's the strongest, the person who's the one that is successful. You don't see him cry. You don't see him breaking down. You don't see any of that. And you see that also then replicated even in your family. You see your parents, then you might never see your dad ever cry. I've seen my dad cry one time. And I was like, whoa, I was confused. Like, what's he crying? Like, what's going on? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so then you don't realize, but this is also part of the indoctrination that you're taking in this particular cult we call life, right? And so there's the information being fed to you, which is that, number one, as a male, you don't cry. Number two, as a male, you must have the whole world on your shoulders and you must bear the brunt. No one should help you. It is you and you alone. You don't need nobody else. You're the only one that can do it. You're the only one that can solve it. You're the only one that can break it. You're the only one that can do anything. And that's a lie. You actually need people around you. You cannot do it on your own. the moment you become so low, it's the moment you become so low. You actually become very, very low, because what happens is you're trying to bear the weight of the world upon shoulders that are not ready to carry that load. You know, and even in our relationship with Christ, he even tells us, my yoke is lighter, not yours, my yoke is lighter. He's saying, give me the burdens. You can't carry it. This body that you're in and this life that you're in, it's not, at the moment, it's not made for that. You can't carry those burdens. So I got to do that job. So for us men, one of the things that gets us is the fact that we have to carry this load of a burden. And what happens is when I'm carrying this load of a burden, when someone else comes in that potentially could add to that load, if we're not ready to carry it, we act out. For instance, let's say we're talking about finances, right? Now, the weight of the world on your shoulders telling you you are not a man if you haven't got finances in order. If your finances are not a certain level, you are not a man. Then a girl comes in, you like the girl. The girl says one word about, can you take me out? And you're stressing. Why are you stressed now? It's not because of what she said. It's the fact that it triggers something in you that you've been indoctrinated with. The fact is, if you're a man and you are supposed to have this level of finances at this particular time of your age, you have this, that all sorted, that's a weight on your shoulders. And when the woman says something to you, it's not her that you're vexed with. It's the fact that you feel there's now, I can't do it. I don't think I've got the strength to do it. Suddenly you blow out.
Yeah.
So these are some of the stresses that we're feeling as men, because we've been told these things, you know, our pride that we have. Look, when we, any child, obviously, we know that this world that we are born into sin, etc., etc. We know these kind of things, but there are a lot of learned behaviors that we have, and even our pride, where we place it in, gets taught to us. You know, how we carry ourselves. For instance, how do we look at success? You know, we see success because it's been told to us through information control. Your TV, your movies, your family that have been also watching movies and watching TV, they get told what success is. So now you see Jay-Z, you see 50 Cent as successful individuals, right? That's become your standard of success, right? And now you're trying to match that.
Do you know, on top of what you're saying, the highest suicide rates are in the Asian countries.
Wow.
And the suicide rates are based on failure.
Ooh.
Japan, India, parts of Africa, where attainment is a part of the
culture. And
if you haven't got your doctorate, if you haven't got your education, if you haven't achieved X, which is a part of the culture. So attainment is a part of my family culture here, but it is not
as ingrained
as higher value, because there are other things that are more important, like have a relationship with God. But cultures, getting a degree, a master's and a doctorate, or becoming a doctor, a dentist, or whatnot, so high. Those countries have the highest suicide rates. So you are talking.
That is so interesting. It's interesting because that is one of even the playoffs that happen. If we want to talk about even race, when you're, I don't know if I remember my dad would be like, how come, like, your parents might compare you to other cousins, right? So because there's a standard, your cousins are doing this, your brother is doing this, and you are the child that is maybe potentially not hitting that standard. If we're talking about suicide, even that again becomes a weight on the shoulders. The expectation of the world on your shoulders, where you're trying to meet a certain standard and you don't meet it at a particular point, where do you go? And I think because we're talking about, we're diving a little bit, but we're talking about mental health in a sense. A lot of these things happen when there's no hope, you know, and a part of faith is that there is hope. Yeah. You know, there's a hope of something better to come, right? And so when the person feels like they've got no hope, there's only darkness left. There's only darkness left. So when you're even talking about this, just about the standard of things, and people even committing suicide around that, it's because there's looks at the situation. I can't meet the standard. There's no hope. What does one do? And actually, the same thing happens to us as Christians. If you continue to follow the law, you will feel like there's no hope, because you look at the standard and you're trying to meet the standard. You can't meet the standard, and then what do? Oh, forget this Christian thing. I'm not about it.
Change your religion.
Change religion. Let me do something else that I can do. Yeah. Something else that involves discipline, and I can be disciplined for. rather than actually existing in the grace of God, which is that God is empowering you to do it now. You know,
Yeah.
so the same thing here, that there's a spiritual and a physical, as we talked about, there's physical and a spiritual aspect of this thing where you're not meeting a standard makes you feel a certain way. And I think for a lot of us men, the standard, again, is information control. We all have different standards of what our success is, but it depends on what information controls happen to you. If your father has said, like you said about the Asian community, their father said to you, listen, you know, I expect you, son, you know, 2 houses. You know, your wife should be accomplished. I expect this, your children should be that, this, I expect this. And it may not be said directly, but they're inferred things to you. And sometimes, I think you were saying about not understanding, even being introspective and actually taking time to take account. When we're not introspective, we're actually not taking we're not being conscious about the words that have actually come into us and began to take life and take hold in our mindset. So sometimes people will find out what sorry bro, sorry about that again, man. Yeah, so for instance, we're talking about words. I mean, the Bible even talks about, I think in James 3, where it talks about, you know, our words are like poison. It's like some words can be said to you and it doesn't hit you straight away when you're young. You get older and suddenly the word that was said to you has come to fruition. And you're like, oh, and you're not sure where it's come from. You're not sure where this negativity's come from, or this lack of faith has come from, or the strength to do something has come from, but it's from somebody's word that's been said to you. So even that, because we don't take time to actually delve into the things that that hit us and that affect us and that run in our mind, sometimes we won't deal with the situation until we hit a brick wall. And when we hit the brick wall, we're like, okay, what the hell happened? Why couldn't I run through this wall? The other ones I was running through, but what happened? What did I get to this point? Again, information control, because whatever you've been fed is now beginning to run the program. The mind is said to be like almost like this. We have a subconscious mind, we have the conscious mind, and subconscious mind is said to be like a computer program running behind the scene. Yeah, you don't see it running. You just see the interface, right? You see the preface, but what you're interacting with is a program that runs underneath. As an individual, as a male. This is why the Bible says that we have to be renewed in our mind. There is a program that's running in you, okay? Constantly. And it's a default program. So whatever's been said to you as young, whatever's been taught to you at young is going to be running when you get older. And so what happens is some of these things become, I call, weights on your shoulder. Yeah, they become chips on your shoulder, standards on your shoulder. And you're trying to meet these standards and not thinking to yourself, I don't know where this standard came from, but that's my standard. I don't know why, but that's my standard. Yeah, that's I will not settle for anything less than that. And when you don't be introspective about it and you hit that brick wall, it can be very, very hard because you're not sure where it's come from. So that's even just one aspect in terms of talking about some of the pressures that we're facing, because we are in a place where information control tells you, even romance, how you meant to love the woman. Right? You see films and TV. Someone told you how to do it, bro. They told you this is what works, son. This is what doesn't work. You know, this is how you treat the lady. And if you've got wrong information,
Temptation Island told you how to do it, man.
Yeah. Love Island.
Oh gosh, that's how you love your woman. Yeah.
You know, all those things will tell you how to do it. So information control is so important. So that can let you know how important it is to have a father and a mother. And I'm not saying that anyone who doesn't have that, it's not good. What I'm saying to you is the importance of having good, because even if you have two, it's important to have two good father and mother who give you good information control. Because if they don't give you that good information, you're going to search for it elsewhere. And if that information is not correct, you're going to act upon that incorrect information. So a lot of our actions that we're doing subconsciously are actually conscious because they're from information that's been fed to us. And so we're not sure why we're doing it, but it's conscious because you've been feeding yourself this information and therefore now you're acting the way you're acting. So there's a lot of things for us men that we need to unpack that are affecting us, that are running behind the scenes, that are just guiding us towards a certain destination. So yeah, I mean, that's another aspect of things.
So how does that impact how we manage pain as men?
Yeah. Fantastic. So in terms of dealing with pain, like we were saying the first point, which is that you don't cry. So what that does is And I'm going to mention a word, I always say it, patriarchy. Patriarchy actually works for us, but it also works against us when it comes to our emotions. Because the patriarchy says, you as a man, this is what a man is. You are boxed in. Do not cry. You don't feel pain. You just keep going. You stand tall. You always keep your head up. Everything like that. And actually what it does, it becomes very toxic, because dealing with pain, the first thing to do, I think I've written the notes down as well. One of the things of dealing with pain is to observe and actually to take in what you're feeling. Okay, so oftentimes what happens with males, and we see this even in relationships, let's say the guy is hurt by one girl, suddenly he becomes the devil, Diablo. Every girl he meets now, he wants to decimate. Why? He didn't take stock, he didn't observe that he was feeling pain, and because the world has told him, listen, a man's not supposed to feel pain, he doesn't acknowledge or nor validate the feelings that he has, and says, he says, I'm going to push that aside, and I'm going to keep going forward. But if you keep doing that, what happens is you're gonna act out. Rather than actually dealing with the actual situation and dealing with the symptoms, you begin to act out. And so what happens is you begin to inflict pain rather than dealing with the wound that you have yourself. So this is very important when it comes to how men think. And like, for instance, ladies will be asking questions, so why are these guys always trash? It's because a lot of them have not dealt with the wounds they're feeling. In fact, some of them don't even know they got wounds. They don't even know they're dealing with pain.
Can I read something to you?
Please, bro. Please go ahead, bro, sir.
Yeah. It says, just because men aren't. I got this on psychology today.
Wow.
Yeah, I got psychology today.
Feel it.
So just because men aren't adept at expressing feelings, they do feel, and they do feel deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, this is what men need to know. But ladies, listen. Because men convert their feelings of vulnerability, tend to convert their feelings of vulnerability into anger or pride.
Yes.
Men tend to shift feelings to place them where they feel safe.
I love that.
Where the feelings are considered acceptable.
I agree 100%.
So what you are helping us do, and with this statement, is you're helping us understand how to process what we feel so that we don't mess up and adopt behaviors to cover up. Is that fair to say?
I agree 100%. 100%, bro. You know, it's funny that you even mentioned it, because I was even talking to my sister today, and we were talking about addressing a situation where she was feeling hurt, my brother was feeling hurt. And I was trying to explain to her that you need to process the emotions you're feeling. Because if you don't process the emotions you're feeling, what you're going to do is attack on anger. And actually, anger oftentimes is a surface emotion. It's not the true emotion. So oftentimes what happens is we're feeling hurt. These two words, I love these, hurt and disappointment. Oftentimes it's either disappointment from expectation, or hurt, the fact that expectation, which is that I expected you to do better, or I didn't expect that to happen from you. And so when that happens, oftentimes, as you said as well, men convert it into pride and into anger as well. And I think the reason why we do that is because we have the ability to, in a sense of that in society, we are I would call I don't want to say the head, I would say that how society looks at men, right? We are allowed the freedom of that expression. It's considered manly to have some bullish behavior, aggression, have some testosterone running through you. And if you act it out, it's okay to do that. That's why we have sports like American football, that's why sports like boxing. It's good to have a bit of aggression in you. Yeah. And what happens is that we allow for that freedom of expression, but what we don't do is actually say, how do you actually process that feeling that you're feeling? It's okay, yeah, you turn it into anger, whatever you're doing, but we don't say, how do you actually process that feeling you're feeling? And oftentimes, the reason why it turns into pride is because the person says, I'm not going to validate the feelings I'm feeling. For instance, let's say you step on my toes, all right? And actually, how I felt was, Curtis, you stepped on my toes, and my trainer, which I bought for £100, cost me money, you know. And yeah, it was white. Now, I'm hurt by the fact that you stepped on man's toes and you didn't apologize. You just kept it stepping. Now, I should really say to you, I'm hurt by what you've done. But The world tells us information control that it's stupid for you to say that you're hurt for somebody stepping on your trainers. How can you as a man tell another man that you're hurt that he steps on your trainers? That's nonsense. So what do? I get vexed, and then either I'm going to confront you in a physical manner, and it can turn into blows. Then that way I can hide the pain I'm actually feeling and turn it into pride. Because what's happening is that I'm failing to validate my feeling. I shouldn't feel that way. We tell ourselves, I shouldn't feel that way. No. I shouldn't feel that way. I'll give you an example. When I was doing my YouTube, whatever, and I was doing relationship counseling, and I think people were paying me for this situation. And I told my dad, I said, Dad, you know what? Man's doing a relationship counseling thing. People are paying me. You know, it's wow, Dad. I was excited. He said, but why didn't you get more money? So, what? I just got vexed, and I didn't even want to talk. I didn't want to talk no more. But at that moment, I had a choice to make. Do I just stay vexed and then don't carry on the conversation, or do I address it? And I had to make a choice. I said to myself, do you know what? Remember when I was younger, I would have just said, I'm going to go off and get some validation elsewhere. But I was like, do you know what? No, I need to address this. One, I need to say to myself, the truth of the matter is, I need validation. I like my dad to tell me that I done well. Let's be honest. If I can be honest with myself, I can start moving forward. If I'm not honest with myself and tell myself I don't need that validation, I'm already hurting myself. Let's be honest. I need that validation. Okay, yeah. I need my dad to tell me well done. So that was the first thing I had to tell myself. You want that validation, coach. Okay, it's okay to want that validation. That's the second point. It's okay to want that validation. Okay, number three, I had to tell myself, okay, how are you feeling? I'm hurt. I'm disappointed. Yeah, I'm disappointed. How can my own dad tell me she'll got more money? You know what I'm saying? So I said, I have to process that. Okay, cool. I'm feeling hurt and I'm feeling disappointed because I wanted him to feel proud of me as a son. Okay. And now that's affecting how I'm looking at him in this particular moment. I had to process all of that. And then I had to send him a message, say, Dad, you know what? This is how I'm feeling. Because of what you had said, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's happened. And I feel a certain type of way. Okay. But I want to address it with you. And he went, oh, I didn't even know that's what you're feeling. Me, I was just saying in the sense of, no, I was saying, I know I'm proud. I'm proud of you, but I wanted you to do more. I was like, but you didn't say that though, right? Information control. Like he also has his own way of being able to communicate something with me because he's not used to also that type of fatherly love. You understand? So now if I don't have that conversation, what do? I'm not talking about that again. 2 months is gone. Then I calm down finally and I've lost 2 months. And that's actually how a lot of guys actually do their stuff. And actually that's, again, back to romantic relationships. That's how a lot of guys deal with their emotions. They don't deal with it.
There's a lack of emotional intelligence.
And a part
of that is because when dads go missing, mom, they aren't able to teach their kids effective boundaries, and boundaries teach emotional intelligence. Conversations teach emotional intelligence. Taking the time out, but life is stressful and we mess up. I'd like to go back to a couple of things that some folk have said.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, underneath the anger is usually pain or fear. You even get praise for showing anger sometimes.
Yep.
Someone says the world is messed up. Of course. It's about unlearning a set of behaviors. Yeah. Kai, but men or people are not taught to communicate. And if we are not able to articulate ourselves, now this spills over into our emotion. I think I agree with that. Women have a platform. I'm not sure what that means, but tell me more. Say sales of the. I don't know if you're trying to sell salesman. But emotional intelligence is it's been an interesting journey for me.
Yes, sir. Please.
Because I'm a very reflective person. But even being reflective, I hadn't, even in the earlier days of relationships, learned how to say, what am I feeling and why am I feeling it?
I agree.
And as you get older, I wish I was your age when I learned this. You know what I mean? You've got, you're like 15, 20 years ahead of me, bro.
Grace.
And understanding some of the way I feel is in my DNA. Like, this is, I'm off the block. This is my mom, this is my dad, you know what I mean? And just saying that to myself has helped me to say, okay, What I'm trying to do, like what you said, I'm trying to rewrite the program that has been put in. Like, bro, I can preach a sermon to you, but the program is still there.
Still there.
I will talk to you about the right thing to do all day, Kojo. But underneath that, I'm still, as me, been married, near 20 years now, rewriting the code, going through the code, like, okay, because you know code is like...
Yeah, it's long.
You know what I mean?
Trying to isolate that part.
Yeah, understand. And you can't get any of it wrong. You've got to be honest with the whole... Like, you're dysfunctional.
Yeah.
There I am, bro, and dealing with the pain and frustration that you're talking about, bro. Reflection. What do I mean by reflection? I'm talking about asking yourself.
That's it.
I'll take it from there. Asking yourself. Go ahead, bro.
Love that. That asking yourself is the introspection that we're talking about. And I'll be honest, you know what? Everybody suffers from this, but we're talking about men today. So men especially don't have time to introspectively look at themselves. And when I say they don't have time, is as we make that not the priority. Okay? Because the priority is making money, the priority is being successful, and we can think about that introspective stuff later. When man makes it, man can think about that later. And the reason why is because in the world that we're in, the incentive is that once you become successful or you have money or you have fame, the women come, the cars come, the money come, and then you can rest. It seems like, because that's the idea. That's the idea of what success is, right?
We do that. We do that, bro.
When I think about things, if I've just got, and then, so you hear guys say, listen, that's why money is quite important right now. And then you hear even mottos like money, MOBs. I don't want to say the word, but you know what I'm talking about. When you say MOBs, it's like money over women. Like, it's like, fam, because once I get that, I know that once I get, I'm set. Everything else has got to fall into place, but it doesn't, right? And I think I've been saying this for the past few weeks, which is that even when we're talking about, even as Christians, there's a process of growth in different areas. So for instance, you could be spiritually mature, but you're emotionally not there. You can be spiritually knowing the word of God, knowing the Lord, everything like that, but you have not grown emotionally. You've not learned how to process your emotions. And so we see this even in the Bible. King David, no one can tell me he wasn't spiritually mature. The guy knew things. The guy knew how to worship. He knew how to repent. The guy knew things that even me, I'm struggling to do. And he didn't even have the Holy Spirit. That guy was sensational. But when it came to his home, absolutely abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. Man could not take care of the home. He was so good at war, but did not know how to bring his house together, to the point that his own daughter, Tamar, gets raped by one of his half-sons, Amnon. And he gets angry, but doesn't do anything about it. And because he doesn't do anything about it, Absalom, his other son, comes in and kills Amnon, right? So you can see that David's a warrior. My guy, you see injustice, you deal with it. But he couldn't deal with it because even though he's spiritually mature, emotionally, he wasn't. And when we look at his story and where he began, we can see the beginning. My guy was in the field with the sheep, with the lions and the bears that were coming after him. This guy knew exactly what it meant to war, bro. Like, this guy's got hands that are ready to do business. You can't take this guy on a war battle. It took 12,000 men to take him out. And even then, they couldn't take him out. So this is a guy who knows what it means to make success. But he doesn't know how to handle the emotional stuff. Why? When he was in the field, his father said, Samuel asked him, so are these all the sons? And then his dad goes, oh, rah. Yeah, you're right. I think I got one. I got feel. Now, if you're a father, you're a father, sir. I mean, could you forget that you have a son or a daughter?
That's deep.
How can you forget? You know, how can a father forget?
That's a lot there.
It's a lot. So the guy emotionally hadn't processed something. Something wasn't right for him. So when he gets into a position of leadership, he's a great leader, but leading his home becomes a difficult situation.
Let me drop something here.
Yes, sir, please.
I watched his channel. It's a very heavy channel. It's called Dawson Speaks on YouTube. And he's a social worker that deals with a lot of sexual abuse in the faith. Cases that have gone to court. And he follows them through, and then he gives his hard words to the ministers. And the thing is this. Men are classically the vast majority of leaders or pastors.
I agree.
And they want to actually add more to it and say, I'm apostle, prophet, I don't know what else. these titles, which for me, anyway.
I feel you, bro.
Next is going to be YouTuber.
As an apostle title.
Apostle YouTuber. Oh yeah. The thing is this, is that my strong belief is this. Every man's first ministry is his home.
I believe so. Absolutely. Absolutely, sir.
This is one of the reasons, bro, why I don't follow any pastors. No, it's not a prejudice per se. I just want to hear from the pulpit how you're dealing with your family.
Oh, say it again, sir.
You understand? Don't tell me about over there in scripture or 5,000 years ago. Don't even tell me about New Testament. Tell me then
how you doing?
How you are living in your own home.
Yep. 100.
I can tell you, not that I'm a great preacher, but I ended up getting a lot of preaching appointments a few years back. And for 3 solid years, I was hammering different churches all over the UK, bro. And
I love it.
And let me tell you, man, literally dragging your family in a car, dressed up, representing, and no one knows. That's devil business straight. I mean, that's what we call it. We call that devil business, where it's like I said to myself, no. I'm going to flip the script. Because standing on a pulpit, men are esteemed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? The title, the lauding, all of the applause and, so forth, the attention. Bro, it's a dangerous place. Applause is a dangerous thing.
Speak on it.
And every minister, let me tell you, bro, we'll go there for a minute.
Do it, fam, do it.
Every minister needs to stand on stage and spend the remainder of COVID talking about how he's bringing his home together, his relationship, and be real.
Yeah.
Like, tell me, like, it was rough, but we're working on it. Amen, church. See you later. You can carry on prison worship now. That was a sermon. just be real about this, because church, So I'm saying that ministry first begins at home.
Agreed.
To stop acting and covering up a lot of their issues, dressing up and preaching real hot. You know what I mean? And just start talking about how they're doing daily life and bring family together. It sounds like David wasn't really embraced by his own father. Probably sticking around the big guys. They're the real men.
They're the real men. They're the handsome ones.
Carry on, bro.
No, bro, you know what? Bro, you touched on something so powerful.
Let's go there.
The key word, when you said about just even touching that side, because you're absolutely right. The first ministry, I believe, also is your home. I just believe that your ministry is your home first. How do you run it? And I think it's evident that we don't necessarily hear a lot of preachers talk about what's going on at home. I'm not saying bring in all the details.
No.
I'm saying help us out. You know what I'm saying? Because Christ often is, when we see Christ the most is when we're dealing with the person who's right next to us. You know what I'm saying? Because you see that person every day, you interact with that person every day, and it's not easy. Being in a relationship with someone, it's not easy. So I want to see, how do you do that? You know what I'm saying? How do you deal with your kids when they're moving mad? When they decide they're not listening to you at that time, how are you dealing with that? And I think this is where we're gonna go. That's another conversation anyway. But anyway, you're absolutely right. I believe that first ministry is dealing with the home, and then even just dealing with, like we were saying about David. I think many of us can speak fondly about David's character, the way he was. I mean, sometimes people commend David for being so favorable towards Saul. I think David's like forgiveness for Saul is because he hadn't had a relationship with his father. He was begging for a father relationship, begging for it, wanting it.
Okay.
Wanting a father figure. You understand? And so that's why there was so much for forgiveness. I just want you to just love me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've given me chances, you've given me even your daughter. And if you see the way that David talks about the fact that he felt so esteemed that Saul would even want to give his daughter to him, he was like, oh my, you can't even give me your daughter. Like, it's not, I'm not even worthy of that, bro. But it's because it's the way he saw her, like a father figure. He's like, this is another person, a father figure. And then I know your son as well. He's like a brother to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what David never had. His brothers, when he went to the warfield, said, go back. He ain't got no brothers. He's got brothers, but he ain't got brothers. That's why the connection with him and Jonathan is so strong. This is why his connection with Jonathan is so strong. It's because the brotherhood that he had at home weren't there. So now you found someone else who's like-minded like you and who's chilling like you. It's the same way you are. Of course you're going to hold on to him, man. And I really believe that David really wanted that father relationship with Saul, but he couldn't get it. You know what I'm saying? That's why he forgave him so much. But yeah, that's another conversation. But the point is, I'm saying, is that David's emotional needs were not met, it seems. So he was unable to deal with situations in his home. You know, and because of his information control, even though he was smart and wise, even when he's feeding Solomon with information, it's still not registering Solomon, because Solomon goes and does the exact same thing his dad does. How many women? In fact, he goes even more. He does even more. He does even more. And more than likely, because the relationship between himself and his father, again, might have been strained. Because this guy's got how many wives? Bathsheba wasn't the only wife. There was Abigail there. There was another girl, Michal or whatever. There were several women that were there. So what kind of relationship is he going to have with Solomon? You know, and when you find out that your mum got jacked from somebody else, how are you going to feel? It's not going to be normal. If you find out your mum got stolen, your mum is now dating the man that stole her from the husband that she already had. It's going to be tight to hear that story. So all of that kind of stuff, these are things that are getting played into the scenario of why someone's acting the way they are. So Solomon was wise, but getting emotional. Where is emotional maturity from him? Surely somebody who's so wise would understand that 700 concubines or 300 wives, it's not sensible, unless you're unable to deal with your emotional feelings and pains, and you're dispersing yourself amongst all these different women, almost so that you make yourself invulnerable. You don't want to deal with your emotion.
Bro, let's go there then.
Talk, bro, man. Talk, please, man. Hit me with something, bro. Let's conversate, man. Let's conversate, bro.
Because you just touched on your next topic now, innit? You just touched on your next thing now. But here we go.
Talk on it, bro. Please, let's go. Let's conversate.
Men do that. Men are cheaters, right? They're 85% of the cheating population. We knew that. But it goes back to something that we said earlier, in that men are transferring. Women, please understand. But men, understand yourselves. Yeah. Are 85% of the time, at the least, transferring your deficiencies into not only anger and frustration. What was it? Anger.
And was it pride?
But also sexual products.
Ooh.
That's what we're doing. We got the guys that are cheating have got holes they're trying to fill.
Come on, sir. Talk on it.
So they're transferring, instead of saying, like we spoke about, reflection, what they're doing is they're saying, in fact, like you said, they don't even know sometimes. I just want to feel this thing. It's like, have you ever been in your house and you go in the snack cupboard? There's a special cupboard everybody's got, right? Snack drawer. With us, it's a snack cupboard, right?
Prophesy, sir.
Right. What's yours?
I said prophesy. The cupboard is there.
You go in there and you're staring at snacks. And you're like, I'm not even hungry. But you reach to go and grab something that you don't even want.
Come on now.
That's called appetite. Now, I used to teach health, as you know, right? A lot of the talks I used to give was on this. I had to teach people the difference between hunger and appetite.
Ooh. Come on, sir. Let's talk about it.
Hunger is a need. Appetite is a learned behavior.
Oh,
do you understand?
Come on.
So what we're looking at here is people who don't know when they are. So most of society is suffering because of their diets. That's the biggest cause of disease that we have, right? But most people couldn't tell the difference between hunger and appetite. So what we're doing is we're acting out on what we call lust of the flesh, ultimately. It depends on how it's shaped and why it's shaped. But when you have the ability to freely go and get the thing that you desire, because it's there for you, the chances are you'll take it.
Yes, I agree.
If your appetite has never been looked at. So what guys do is that what they really, and the thing is, what a lot of scientists say is that a lot of the time that you feel hungry, it's actually you're thirsty.
Yes, this is what. Speak on it, sir. Yes, come on.
So what people are doing is they're transferring their feeling of thirst towards the thing in their snack cupboard and just eating. What people are doing, listen, what we do is, Lauryn Hill's got this song, Everything is Everything. It's all connected, right? So what we're doing is we're just basically filling a hole with a behavior that's what porn and masturbation is. That you need love. You need a friend. You need a friend. You need a hug. You get me? You need your wife needs to touch you. She needs to talk to you. She needs to listen. I had a friend of mine. He cheated on his woman, and he said to me, "Do you know why I did it? Because I just wanted someone to listen to me."
Wow. Sounds mad, but I know exactly what he means. Yep.
Not justified. He's just saying the reason why. He wasn't saying it was justified. He was saying no, it was wrong. I just want someone to listen to me. That's how it started, Curtis. I said, wow. And what people are doing is they're just not reflecting deep enough and learning how to fill those gaps with something meaningful. Take it away, bro.
Oh, bro, you touched some good things there, bro, man. Chile, that was heavy. See, that was nice. I like that. And actually, just saying that as well, I think you're actually right. And I think even when it comes to things like cheating and stuff, a lot of it is to do with desire. It's the need for wanting something. And sometimes we can't identify that need. So we go with the want instead. And actually, you see, and if we want to go back to Adamic situation in the garden, Adam sees so many animals. He's identifying so many of them, but none of them are what he needs. You know? And then when he gets hit with what he needs, bear in mind, he's already gone through all the animals. And this is what a lot of guys are doing, the same thing. They've gone through so many, not women are not animals, please. But we're saying they've gone through so many women. And he realizes, oh, that's what I needed. I didn't realize I needed this one. That doesn't have to be the case, but the fact of the matter is they are using that same kind of method in order to get what they need because they're not sure of what they need. So they go for what they want. So you go with the girl with a big back. You go with the girl with a pretty face. You go with the girl that's got a lot of money. The girl that's got the Aston Martin, DB, whatever, or the good family. But actually, that's not what you actually need. And because you don't know what you need, you're going with what you want. And the want is often dictated by what you appetite. As you said, learn. It's what the world has fed you and said, this is what a good want would be. A woman that's got this, that's got this, that's got this, that's got this, that's got this. And so you chase what the world has taught you as what is a want. And as you find, that's why a lot of guys find it. We're finding like, and you find that even guys that will, certain guys will get with certain girls, you'll be like, that's a great girl. And the guys still do moving mad. He just hasn't found what he needs. He doesn't even know what he needs. You understand? Because he hasn't taken time to be introspective, say, hey, actually, me, myself, what do I actually need? And because you don't know what you need, you're just going to go out. Like when you're hungry and you go to the store, you buy more than what you need. You buy whatever your appetite is feeling, like you said.
We always go too far when we're ruled by appetite, bro. We always go too far.
I'm listening, bro.
You feel it twice as much, bro.
Go on, bro. I'm listening.
Carry on.
No, bro, listening, flow with the appetite thing.
Bro, look, I've known this for a long time, man. I looked at the trolley, even like if I take my daughter shopping, I'm like, have you eaten? Do you know what I mean? Because my kids have a way, they got a way to just kind of make me buy things I don't need to be buying. And I thought I was strong, but I'm getting weak now. Like, I'm walking and I'm like, this trolley's full of rubbish, man. But children are like that.
Yes.
We, like the scriptures will warn us not to be like children in understanding. Like children will go, I want that. They haven't processed how good, they may not even have the capacity. How good is this for me? What's the end goal of all this sugar? They don't. And men, grown folk are doing the same thing.
Ooh, touch it, sir.
This is what we do. Listen, when I say this is what we do, I'm telling you about me. Now, I've had with a lot of things, but it's still me. Still me. Like, sometimes I will see that vomit and I will still go back and eat it. That's my own vomit. Yeah. I want to break some cycles, bro. I'm not going to sit here like I'm up there, man. I'm sitting here like I'm down here. This chair, I'm here. You understand? I'm like, sometimes I back up my vomit.
I'm going to say more things.
Bro.
It's default. Bro. It's easy to.
Bro.
It's easy to. You're right, bro. And you know what? You actually said about kids, it made me think. I always remember the scripture, Luke 2:52, where it says Jesus Christ grew in wisdom, in stature, and he grew in favor amongst men. And what makes me think about it is that there are childlike things in us that need to be matured. That's why we have problems. There are childlike things in us that need to grow, you know, and it only grows when we begin to feed it in those particular areas. Because sometimes, like we were saying, sometimes we don't know what we need to feed up. We don't know what's going on, and it's because we don't slow down. And until that's why sometimes when we hit a brick wall or something in life literally slams us, that's when we start doing our introspectiveness. So for guys, sometimes it might take them into their 30, and then they look around and all their boys are now married, happy with a girl at least, and now they're looking at everybody around saying, right, okay, everyone's got their thing, where's mine? Brick wall hits you. Now you have to go, okay, whoa, what happened? How did I get here? What's the process? Suddenly now you're thinking. You know, you think when you slow down. And I always say it's like when you're in a car, yeah, and you're going at 5 miles per hour, you can take in the detail, go at 100 and see what happens. You can't think. You cannot see what the details of the environment is. So there's no time to process what's going on. And oftentimes that's our life as men. We just throw ourselves like gung ho, 100%. Let's just go in, zoom. And there's no time to think. And the reason why there's no time to think is because we've been taught you don't need that. It's not a priority. Just make money, get a girl, and you're good. So there's no time to actually objectively think about what life is actually saying, you know? So even when we're talking about even intimacies and talking about how to form our relationships, we don't think about those things. So that actually feeds back into our conversation about needs versus wants. Because oftentimes what happens is when people get into relationships, especially us guys, when we're not aware of ourselves and what we actually need, what we try to do is grope in the dark. We try to go straight for the sexual intimacy and the physical intimacy and hope that as we do that, that will birth everything else.
Hold on. You're gonna we've done an hour almost, right?
Oh, we've done that? Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give a quote and then we're gonna have to start a new one because we're going to intimacy now. Is that right? Is that where you're going?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, look. Let's pace. Let's pace ourselves.
That's hot for me too.
Oh, bro, listen, man. You got me now. I mean, going back on something you said, and then we're gonna continue where you left off, right?
Go for it, sir.
My brother-in-law gave me this quote. He said, "A fool at 40 is a fool for life."
Ooh.
I was 42 when he gave me that. You know what I mean? I was like, hey.
You come 2 years late. What's wrong with you?
No. I was thinking that all these habits. I'm 40 odd. You told me that last year, so I'm 43 or 44. Yeah, last year. And
you're good though.
Bro, got to keep shaving. Keep it tidy, you know, COVID time. If you see me, if I didn't have clippers, you'd know about it, you know. But I'm if you guys can take these lessons, man, and just apply them right now, you don't want to get to our age and start making changes. It's late. It's late. We're going to look at intimacy in the next session. I'm going to relive literally in about 30 seconds.
Yes, guys.
On the other side of this, guys, join us still. We're going to talk about men and intimacy. And you better put your
seatbelt.
Okay. Okay, speak to you.
All right, Joe.
Wow. Listen, man. You're just not gonna find conversation like this anywhere else, man. when people are prepared to be honest about their journey, and people like who have studied. And how you doing, sis? Sharon. When people have studied or taken the time out to just investigate life, this has been life changing. Seriously. 256 Locks, what's good? Lydia B. Mark. Fumzy. JC. Waving. Let's bring my brother in. We're talking intimacy. Men and intimacy.
Yes, sir.
Men and intimacy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You mentioned something before we go into that. You mentioned something about sorry, I always wonder when they learn these lessons. Not sure what you mean. 256. Let me know what you mean. If you particularly like guys that just haven't got themselves together. Maybe, for example, classically, like we've got kids with different women. They're not in their relationship. It's happened. This is not the judgment part, but they're not in a relationship or a stable relationship. They're hanging out with their mates most of the time. They're my age or older. They're just chilling. Monica said this to me years ago. She said, it's because they haven't grown up. And what they haven't developed emotionally, mentally.
Yep.
At the age of 15. They're still kids in their heart, although they've got the bodies of men.
Wow.
A lot of the time, developmental issues happen because of trauma, because of a lack of love and affection. This is why some guys just are stuck. Even my granddad, who told me a story about his life, and obviously he was a hard back Jamaican. He was hardcore. He was difficult. He had a mad temper. I never seen him work a day in my life. He was served by my gran. I don't remember him doing anything for her. So he was loved by many, but he wasn't really, when you analyze it, he wasn't the man. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
And he told me a story, and I got it even at a young age. About 20 years ago, about 25 years ago. And he told me a story of him being as a kid in Jamaica. Now, Jamaica back in this time was extremely poor. Extreme poverty out there. And a lot of, it wasn't just hardship, it was, like even after World War, when the men have gone away, they've been traumatized and they come back home and then they abuse their family, and they're detached. PTSD, right?
Yeah.
And so his dad must have been that distant. But that's what happens when you've been dropped off as a slave and now you just got to run your life in the bush kind of thing. A lot of West Indians have suffered with that, right? And so growing up in that type of environment, he grew attached to a goat. His goat was everything to him. Just like people now, they love their dogs, right? And not knowing that a goat's food. And one day the goat was gone and his dinner's done and he's like, where's the goat? He was traumatized by that. Never moved on from that place.
No curry gut after that.
Bro. Now, you have to understand, some people, they just don't get to move on from where they are. And so they float in a cycle of behavior that they need a brother to help them kind of
overcome
the cycle that they're going in. Stop sleeping with these girls. Put down the weed, put down the alcohol, because you're trying to numb it, right? Let's talk about none of their friends, because all their friends are the same. Right. I kind of introduced it. Let me just read this. I think
yeah, go for it, sir, please.
I'm in my early 30s and just learning about all the things that affect us as people and a community, and sometimes I'm just a bit jealous as to wishing I'd learned these lessons sooner. Yeah. So you have to understand, man. I wish I was you at your age talking like this.
I wish I was me at 18.
You understand, bro?
Would have made less mistakes.
What is it that men need to know about intimacy? Or is it a wider topic? Is it more than intimacy?
It is a wider topic. And even before we even go into it, I think you've just made some great points, which is, and the word that came to me was that when you feel offense, you fail to get over the fence. It's like you stop there. It's offended you and you cannot get over that fence. You just cannot move on from that point. It's like something now blockades you. And in fact, all of us have those fences in our life. There are parts of us that have not grown up or we can't move past, and it requires activation to get past. But like you said, it depends on where that has hit you, because in some of them, it's just, if it hits you and you stay there, your whole life suffers, you know? So in that regard, I could understand, you know, the goat was a big thing for him. You know what I mean? It was his safety, it was his security, it was his love, it was everything that it was for him. So for that to crumble means that if that can crumble, what's there left for me then? How do you pick up the pieces from that? So I can understand that. And I think for a lot of men, this is the exact same thing. I think, that's a good question, that is. I think for I was looking at it, I was like, yeah. I think for us men especially, it's we are learning lessons, obviously, later on in life, because we're forced to, because like you said, when I look at some of my guys that when we were younger, 18, and we're moving mad, doing all that stuff, I remember this lesson so well. I was one of the, we had a big group of guys. I was the only guy that was dating a girl faithfully and staying with that one girl. Then my guy told me, listen, bro, when I broke up with the girl, I said, bro, what's sad, you know? Like, bro, you was giving us the inspiration, bro. Like, you know, you were the model. And I was like, what? You guys were all telling me that we actually following you guys. Not knowing that they were trying to do what I was doing. But they weren't there at that stage yet. So now I'm looking to myself, hold on a minute. You see, then I learned that important lesson that if I look at other people and think to myself, I want what they have, number one, that's what men often do. It's like thinking that, oh, I want what they have. You realize that you mess up your life completely. You're focused on the whole wrong thing. Number two, your friends are so important in terms of how they inject information into you. Because when I was moving mad and doing my little baby boy antic stage of my life, it's because I had enablers around me. You can only do what you're doing when you have enablers. When all the people start to go away, now introspection has to happen. And you've got two choices. Either you change and grow, or you change and die. And when die doesn't mean necessarily die, it means you go and do something which is really not beneficial for you. And you find yourself in a really deep rut. Wow. So oftentimes when you're seeing guys who are not emotionally mature, you start to see that the friends are either enabling that behavior, you know? Because when you're in a crew, when you're that guy, let's say you're the guy that's faithful, and you have your crew around you, and they're about the faithful life, more than likely you're gonna repeat that behavior.
Yeah.
When your guys are all moving mad and they're all about the chasing the paper and chasing the girls' tails, it somehow sets seeds in your mind. Now you may stay strong and you may do it, but a lot of people don't. Eventually the lifestyle catches up with them, which is why women often will look at a boy's friends and like, oh, you got that guy that's around you. Yeah. Okay, I don't like that friend. They start cancelling the friend already because they feel like that friend is going to be an influence to you. So they're trying to see ahead of things. So with men, a lot of times our circle is very, very important in terms of how we move forward and how we progress. As I say, birds will fly together. But what we're talking about was intimacy.
Yeah. And
we're talking about the fact that a lot of times, because we don't do introspective work and we're moving on our wants, where it takes us to is a level of intimacy that we're not ready for. In a sense of, it's not what's going to produce the long-standing love that we're requiring and need for ourselves. So I'll put myself in this instance. So when I've got into dating just recently with my missus, the one thing I told myself before I get into a relationship is, what do I want? And I had a very set thing. I said, this is what I need, and this is what I want. So the wants are not essential. The needs are. Once you establish what your needs are, essentially, you can then choose a partner correctly. If you choose on the wants and you get some things that you want, but the things that you don't actually need, you suffer. So you've got the girl with the banging body, the banging car, the banging house. She's smart, she rides for you. And even emotionally, she's great, but not for you. You need love in a certain way, and she doesn't even understand that language. Now you're in a place where you don't understand things. Oh, we're butting heads all the time. You're arguing, and then you're calling it, it's sexy when we argue. It ain't sexy when you argue. It ain't sexy when you argue. It ain't sexy when you argue. Do you understand? But it's because a lot of times for us guys, we've not taken time to assess, what is it I actually need? Because there are emotional things you as a male that you know you're deficient in. For instance, I know me, I like to have conversation, deep conversations. It's part of my love language. When I realized, I said, I can't be with somebody who doesn't have good conversation with me. I've done it before and it didn't work.
Yeah.
I suffered. So why repeat the mistake? I had to take time and say, okay, cool. And there was a period of time where I wasn't dating anybody for 2 years or so. That allowed me the time to actually really deep everything. Oh my gosh, like I made that mistake. Blood, all of these things I don't actually want. I don't actually need, sorry. They're just wants. Cancel that. This is what I need. And a lot of times the problems that we're going to face in relationships are emotional stuff. It's not you can get the girl with the body and the mind and the soul, if you want to call it that kind of thing. Them kind of things were the outer exterior. But what do you need as a male? What is it that you were lacking? Especially if you were lacking it in your youth, you're probably going to need that from the woman in your relationship. Because oftentimes our love languages are often attached to what we were lacking when we were younger. So you try to draw on that when you're older.
Explain that, bro.
Okay, so when it comes to like love languages, for instance, oftentimes what I've observed.
Sorry, say that comment again and then explain it.
Oh,
love language is what?
Oh, that what you didn't receive when you were younger, what you were starved of in terms of the love language, you tend to try and grapple with when you're older. You try to receive that when you're older. It's a bit like, let's say you didn't have much money when you're younger. A bit like our rappers. They didn't have much money. And as soon as they get money when they're older, now what is it? Chains, it's trainers, all that stuff we were doing when we were 18. But you're now doing it when you're 30. Why? Because you were starved of it. So it's like, oh, I'm trying to get it all now. A bit like when you fast and you break the fast, everything's just right? It's like because that's what you think that you need, right? So the exact same thing with our love languages. Oftentimes what we've been starved with when we're younger is what actually we're craving for when we get older. And that's not everybody, because some people are different. But what I've observed,
I hear you.
You know what I mean? What I've seen. So as an individual male, your objective now is to find out, what is it I need? What is it emotionally that I'm deficient in? What is it that I'm requesting? You know? And that's what a man has to also figure out as well. And when we're talking about intimacy, what happens is people assume that intimacy is I'm trying to get as close to you physically as possible. So they enter into a framework of sex because that's the only language they know how to speak. They haven't learned how to speak any other language. They've never learned how to unravel their mind and be naked anywhere else apart from being in the bedroom. So now...
So what's the difference between intimacy and sex?
So intimacy... sex
is that a fair question?
Yeah. It's a very fair question. Sex is a part of intimacy.
Okay.
Sex is a part of intimacy. There are 7 types or 6 types, you want to say, of intimacy. We have financial intimacy, so being transparent about your finances. There's emotional intimacy, being able to express your emotions. There is mental intimacy, which is being able to express your ideas and your thoughts. There is spiritual intimacy, being able to share your beliefs, your faith. There is physical intimacy, which is like things like hugging, a hand touch, a hand on the shoulder, just physical presence and proximity. And then we have sexual intimacy, which is what many of us know. We know sexual intimacy. We talk that language very well. Okay. Yeah, we know how to discuss in that area so well. Many men are able to write long paragraphs in that area. Okay, but when it comes to now discussing the matters of your heart, you don't know how to do it. And it's because we don't take time to know how. In fact, no, we don't take time. We are scared of being vulnerable in that area. we can take our clothes off, but when it comes to taking the onion layers of your mind off to give the person your vulnerability, you won't do it. And it's because we're very much aware, because we're talking about, again, transference. We're very much aware that this part of me is where it's most dangerous. You get this part of me, you can kill me. And this is why I had the theme or the saying, which is that when Samson laid his head on Delilah's lap, this was a form of intimacy that men often are looking for but struggle to get.
Okay.
The reason why Delilah was able to kill him, you understand? Like, Delilah was able to tap into something. Like, as much as she did him dirty, she managed to tap into something about Samson that allowed him to unravel, to be able to relax and rest his head on her lap. Because once I rest my head on your lap, I'm the most vulnerable position ever. You can do anything to me. If you want to kill me there and then, you can do it. Because I'm now surrendering myself to you. You're right? So oftentimes our hearts, the area of our hearts are the hardest part for men to be able to express, because we are aware that if I give you this aspect of me, you can kill me. And it's a death that is very painful. It's not like if you reject me in sex, or I'm not good at sex or anything. That one is outer. But if I get to my heart, you can nuke me. So oftentimes what happens is, like I said, a lot of men are very well versed in physical and sexual intimacy, but we don't delve into emotional intimacy. How are you feeling, bro? What's going on with you? Okay, like, how do you express how you feel? Okay, what's getting you down at the moment? What's making you excited? Okay, where's your emotion seated at the moment? We're even looking at the situation now when we're talking about with Black Lives Matter, etc. Right? Having a conversation around that with men. How do you actually feel? Are men actually having a conversation with other men? How do we actually feel? Are we just getting angry? I'm ready to riot. I'm ready to protest. I'm ready to burn down buildings. Yeah, but how do you actually feel? I'm angry. No, but what does that mean? Why are you angry? Can't express how you feel. You're unable to articulate how you're actually feeling. So you go into action. You're not able to be intimate on that level. You're not able to express yourself. You see, you don't have the vocabulary in that area because you have not trained yourself to be in that area. You've neglected it. And so therefore, it's a child in your life in that area. So as a child does, it runs a riot. It does whatever it wants, expresses whatever it feels like, and there is no, I would say, stability in the area. It just does whatever it feels like. Like you said with a kid with an appetite. Kid will eat whatever it wants. There is no discipline in that area. It just does whatever it wants. So in the emotional intimacy, one day you'll get the guy telling you, yeah, I feel a little bit down, but that's about as much as he's going to give you. He ain't giving nothing else. But no, so what's eating you, bro? Yeah. You know, and this is where a lot of our language comes from, because what we're trying to do is trying to distance ourselves away from things. So the words like calling women female dogs, calling them hoes, calling them sluts, calling them this, all of it is actually a device actually to separate yourself, because what you want to do is make sure you're not vulnerable. I call them these things because I have to dehumanize them, because that makes me feel more human. That means that if I dehumanize them, if I dehumanize women, hey, I'm good. They can't get at me. You know, nothing penetrates my soul. You know me, I'm solid, cuz. Yeah? And that's what happens. You get to a mindset where it's like the pride situation. Nothing can penetrate. Nothing can get past. When you're vulnerable and you're open, that language can't exist in your vocabulary. It can't.
Bro,
yes,
let me drop something on it. You're waking me up now. I like
wake me.
You know, let me just wave. You know, listen to me, right? I follow this guy called Peter Hyatt, right? And he does language analysis. He's extremely clinical. What he does is he analyzes, he's recommended for his viewers to analyze the statements or the transcripts or the video statements of people who are being investigated for a crime.
Ooh.
And what he does, he analyzes it and then he breaks it down so that to understand the language that people are using, he listens to what they're not saying and he follows exactly what they are saying. Ascertain whether they're telling the truth or not. So it could be a murder case. And this guy's just been interviewed by the police officers. And then he will listen to it after. He's got like, I think, 100% success rate.
Wow.
And what he's doing is he's like, for example, I don't know if I want to go. It's conspiracy. Yeah, let's go.
Let's go to it.
What's that girl's name that was abducted and they're giving him
McCann.
Maddie McCann, right? He analyzes statements of all of their video statements, yeah, written statements, and he said they're lying. Anyway, he's never been wrong, right? But obviously these guys, they're being supported by government, so they're not on trial. But he's like, listen to what they're saying. Everything that they're saying is true. When you say, and what he does, he'll say stuff like, the person will say stuff like this is what something that they said. And this is come back to a point you made, yeah? My daughter was like she's recollecting something that happened with her daughter, the McCann mother, right? Maddie's mother, and she mentioned something about the bathroom door. Oh, and he said, "Why did she mention the bathroom door? It's got nothing to do with this."
I think I remember this one that he did. Yes.
And so what he said was, he believes, after going through her statements, he said, "I believe that woman was abused." Right? And this is something I've been into for years, where I'm listening to what you are saying, the importance of the words that you are using, and what you are also not saying that is relevant.
Yes.
So when a man starts to talk about bitch and all that, a woman, what is the importance of using those words? When the girl's using it, what's the importance of using those words? In fact, what's the importance of putting on scanty garms, right, and shaking the camera? What's the importance of it? And when you look behind it and keep asking the question why, you will find that people are begging for the other thing that they think they will never get. The thing that they want the most, and it's the thing they're most afraid of.
Yeah, I agree.
Intimacy, like, she's a bitch because, and I'm using the word, she's a bitch because I don't want her to hurt me. But I know if I could find out one girl that I could connect with, just one, they call her the wifey, right?
Wifey, I'll be hurt.
If I could get that one, who doesn't want that, bro? Who doesn't want that? We lie to ourselves by just saying, well, you know what, I'm gonna build up more walls. I'm just gonna just sleep with the nearest thing that will take me. Wow. You woke me up. Woke me up.
Bro, you know what? It's funny you even said about the linguistic thing, because I remember I did a review on C. Montana. This guy he went on a rant, you know, just insulting women left, right, and center, and I realized what he was saying was more than what he was saying.
Yeah.
If you have to consistently call women a bitch and a hoe and all these kind of things, what you're actually saying is you're trying to dehumanize them because your behavior requires it to do so. If I can dehumanize you, then I can make my behavior acceptable towards you. Now, when I treat you like a female dog, it's acceptable because I'm labeling you as such so that my behavior feels okay. Now, if I label you as a wife, as a woman, as a queen, what I'm having to do is live up to that standard. So that's why oftentimes the words that come out of the mouth are often trying to shape how the person is to them so that they can have justification for their behavior. Actually, we see it the race situation. They label us with calling us animals so that when they dehumanize us, they feel justified in the actions that they do towards us.
Well, that's what Trump did when he called the protesters thugs.
Thugs.
He's telling us how he sees these desperate humans. So for some, like me and you, they're desperate people. They're thugs because of how they want to or how they do see us. So people express how they feel based on how they want to handle life because they're either avoidant.
That's it.
Like we mentioned this the last time when I'm not going to bend the spoon. The spoon. Remember the Matrix? I'm not going to bend the spoon. The world is going to have to bend, but this spoon is going to. So people would rather bend reality.
Yes.
They'd rather bend the spoon that's in their hand. And bro. Yeah.
It's real. It's real. Yeah. Because honestly, when I looked at some of my guys that were younger, and I looked at the way that we handle situations and the way that they, like, I couldn't do all the things they were doing. And I realized even my vocabulary doesn't match what I'm doing. So it doesn't, you notice that your vocabulary will match what energy you're going to put out to. This is why certain linguistic language, when we're using it, is so important to listen out to. And even today when I was talking to my sister and trying to help her with the situation with my brother, I was saying to her, look, the language you're using is so key. You're communicating that you feel this particular way, but actually when you use certain words, it's loaded. And so what happens is it means that the person who's receiving information is not getting what you want them to get, you know? So when we're talking about intimacy as well, you know, certain guys, we need to find a way of being able to be more simplistic. The reason why we're not simplistic, and then the reason why we're not talking simple, is because it means being vulnerable. And so when we're talking about intimacy in relationships and stuff, it's all about vulnerability. So in the area of, for instance, let's say financial vulnerability, it means I'm going to open myself up to you and be honest and transparent. And I want to make the difference between the two. And then some have two different ways of doing it. I say honesty is a way of life in a sense. So for me, honesty is proactive. It's not reactive. Reactive means I react based on what you've done or what you said to me, but that's the other way around. Transparency is the way that you react, because transparency is me looking into you and then me asking you. But honesty is I'm proactive with you. So in the areas when we're coming to intimacy, oftentimes what is lacking also is the honesty. Some men are looking for the girl to become a psychologist and ask all the mad questions before it eventually goes, all right, this is what it is. And we don't have the strength to be able to say, hey, this is me honestly, this is how I feel about the situation. Oh, my finances at the moment, you know what, finances are not great at the moment. Let me be honest with you. Babe, this month it's looking a bit tight. Let me just be real with you. Can we just do something about it? Right? Even me as a guy, that's tough to say, look, babe, right now this month it's a little bit tight. Can we just
Wait, but you're in a process of reprogramming the code, right?
That's what I'm saying. And that's when you start realizing even you as a person who's talking about reprogramming needs reprogramming. Because there's so many codes that are in us that need to hold just to recheck. And I think one of the things that I've started to notice is even when I'm having a conversation with my missus, is like I have to always try to find out, why do I feel the way I feel? Don't react. You're angry, but why? Is it what the person said, or is it a deep lying trauma? Is there a fence that you're unwilling to jump over?
Right.
And once you begin to analyze those particular situations, you start to realize, okay, there's a lot of things I actually need to start taking time and saying, hey, this might not be actually my actual reaction. Okay, in this area, this might not be my actual thought. Okay, in this area, this might not actually how I feel. It's just because in the past, maybe that's been done and it's now projected onto the now future. So intimacy really is about vulnerability.
So let me ask you a personal question. Like, don't you ever, when you reflect on some of your thinking and feeling, do you ever personally have a fear of going back and saying, oh, you know, I know what that's from? Like, some people are intent on avoiding the memory of past traumas, and they will do crazy, or they will never try to address it. Because Kojo find himself doing that as he goes into that reflective place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the major ones for me, I think, was my thought process in terms of, for instance, I used to be holding this particular line. Boys and girls can't be friends. I used to hold it, just like no one could tell me nothing. I can tell you straight, listen, boys and girls can be friends. I held it for so long. But the truth of the matter was, the reason why I was holding it is because something in the past had happened when I was very, very young, when I was in primary school. I remember I liked a certain girl, and that girl had a friend, my friend. And the girl liked the friend after she said she liked me. And I know I never recovered from that situation. Right? What? So when I analyzed it and I looked, I said to myself, bro, like, I'm not
carried that all the way in. You carried that
up into blood, big boy, you know, carried it up into big boy way, fam, you know. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about these things is that there are unconfirmational biases that happen in your life in between that time that solidify you in that place. So when you get older, you see someone else in a relationship who then cheat on their boyfriend with a friend. So that solidifies you in your thought. And then now you said, okay, that's it. I've seen that. That's it. I'm not refusing. I know I'm right. I know I'm right. I see that thing there. It's like it's a bias that has come in unconfirmed, but you've seen something. You know what I mean? So all of these things can happen to us. You know. So when I looked at that situation, I said, "Whoa, how am I gonna undo that?" Though? I've lived with this motto for so long, bro, and not even that. My actual best friend is a female. And I'm trying to rectify that with the thought. It's because of, I know what happened in the past, bro. I said, someone did that to me so dirty, I've never forgiven that person. I've just never forgiven that situation. And I had to undo it and go back. You know what I mean? But even that was tough. And I think still, some parts of me, I'm still trying to, like, you know, make sure that doesn't creep back in again. It's okay. Let it go. How about yourself? Yourself, sir.
Yeah, there are things like when I was in school, secondary school, because my dad had an iron rod over me, you know, he had an iron fist, so he's like, my dad, he says, jump up, I jump up, you know. Yeah. And he said to me, if you ever fight in school, and I realize now why he did it, is because he didn't want me to get, like when I was in primary school, he taught me to fight. And after the secondary school, he told me, if you ever get in trouble, now the school I went to was really bad. He said to me, if you ever if you get into anything, send it to boarding school.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, where? Now I can't fight. So the man then, because I was just slightly bigger than the average size, man then would try to fight me all the time and I couldn't fight back. So they used to beat me up.
Damn.
So when I left school now, I did all kind of martial arts and that. And I was like, that's never gonna happen again.
I hear that.
So when I'm walking in the street, I would see everyone as a threat.
Yeah.
Bro, everyone, like don't play football. I would only play football with my mates, my close mates. Otherwise, I'm gonna get into a fight. Because it was a intimidation. It's fear. It's fear.
This is deep, bro.
Being humiliated, her, and that would probably creep a little bit into the relationship that I'm in various ways. But it's something that I've wrestled with for years, and the only thing that kind of helped me work it out was love.
Talk on it, sir.
And that was a matter of desperation. Because imagine you walking on the street, I remember a couple of instances where I had extreme anger. Like this guy must have cut me up in Crystal Palace years ago. We're talking about 20 years ago. Bad. When Crystal Palace didn't have the one-way system, yeah, it was a two-way road. Bro, he cut me up. Bad. Bro, you know what? I was blaring my music. That didn't help. And I got out the car, nighttime, Friday night, went to kill the guy. And I got back in my car and said, where did that come from? And that was about 22 years ago. And I realized that some of the way I am is going to get me killed. And I'm not a violent person. I'm just not violent, but easily intimidated. So my response was like, I'm going to have to fight somebody. So protectionism, all of that mindset, whilst you're trying to be vulnerable, it's not going to work. But I guess Christ takes his time, he comes along and he says, right, it's me and you, let's go. And teach me to just, now I'm on the road and what I do, I just give a man a nod. Give a brother a nod. And that kills it. It kills it. But in terms of the past, yeah, there's been things that have happened to me that have made me feel with previous girlfriends very small.
Speak on it, bro.
My man went bad for me. Bad for me. And I couldn't get out. I'm addicted to the sweet and sour combination. Yeah. And it was very bad for me, and it affected me, and I although you wouldn't see it, I had low self-esteem. Years down the line. And again, only love, which is the only thing that would have cured that. So it's just me being honest with myself and saying, right, I don't care what people think. I don't care if you take the mickey out of me. I'm going to say this. Me saying this to you is like a part of the cure. Me saying it on Instagram is a part of the cure. Like that thing, me saying I felt like that as a man is massive. Like some people might look at it, that's nothing. That's massive for me to say it. But I'm all right with it now because my jewels, my treasure is in another pot. So I don't, if you want to try that with me, it's not going to work. That took a lot of just me by myself, talking to myself and saying, what are you saying? You're going to let that girl, do that? I have to have them conversations. Kyle, sorry, let me go back, man. Kyle, you asked the question, is that why men get into porn? It's a good question but I don't know what it's in context of, unless Kojo knows. But ask your question a bit more comprehensive so we can follow. Man, some of these questions are attached to some stuff you were talking about, and I've lost the context of it. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to, I think I've made that. Yeah, okay. So when it comes to intimacy, I get you. So in regard to looking for intimacy, is that why some guys get into porn? That's a question I'm putting to you, bro.
I guess it does play a part. It does play a part. I don't know if that's the entirety of it, because I think oftentimes with porn, it's a desire thing. It's the want of. I guess it does play. It's a want of desire to be wanted, and also as well the desire to reach. I wouldn't even say a climax, but it's that euphoric feeling. You know, it's the euphoric feeling because sex itself releases certain chemicals in that. So we have the dopamine, the serotonin, the oxytocin that can be released during, person obviously reaching a climax or ejaculating. So I guess part of it, obviously, yes, there is an intimacy problem and that the person wants to feel love, but I wouldn't go all the way with that. I think there's deeper lying issues that come with watching pornography. But yeah, that can play an aspect in it. Oftentimes it's a desire for something.
Someone asked there, where was your starting point in doing the work? When you said love, was it from your relationship with Christ or your marriage?
Wow.
No, it was with Christ. And it wasn't a major event. It wasn't any lightning strikes. It wasn't anything. It was just a growing process. It's like going to the gym. You don't see the change in a day. You just see it over months and months. You know what I mean? And I can put it down to the fact that I was training from a long time before. I don't like running. I don't like running. So it's like I got to do something. There's only one way to do this, bro. It's either destroy my family and destroy myself, or just deal with it. Yeah. So it was the love of Christ in that He didn't show me I didn't feel like an emotion, arms around my shoulder. It was just a growth in knowledge.
Keyword.
More reflecting. What was you saying?
Keyword. The knowledge.
Yeah, you know something. Knowledge can change you. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've never really had the voice of God say, Curtis, turn left. It's happened to me a couple of times in my life, or that's your woman, or you invest your money here. I've never had that from God. Yeah. God has very much been about me just reflecting on the knowledge that I have, and God has been growing with me. Okay, someone's asking a question.
I've seen these questions are coming in with some dangerous passion, boy.
Go ahead.
So people who aren't in Christ yet, how would you advise? I think you said it, bro. It's knowledge. It's knowledge. I think if you're able to inject knowledge, you're able to have a more introspective view of your character. There's obviously levels to it because obviously we already know the sin nature of man. So until that's dealt with, etc., etc. But yes, knowledge is so critical. It's key because without there being an injection of knowledge, the person cannot change because the program continues to run as it does. It will not change until there's a breaking of that particular code and there's an injection of new code into the system. Simple as. So that person, the thing for them is to read, get knowledge, listen, soak in different things that are going to change the narrative of what you believe to be the norm. You know, that's the first and foremost. And then, do you think the alpha male is a Christ-like counterfeit? I don't know. I mean, to be honest, it depends on what you define as alpha male. You know, because people have different definitions of alpha male. There is a negative aspect of alpha male, which is an egotistical, prideful man that wants to just show that he dominates the room. But other people might have alpha male as different, as in someone who's just confident, who's just able to just own his own stuff. So it depends on what definition you have. If we're looking for the egotistical one, the one that is trying to be a lion and pee everywhere, then yes, that would be a counterfeit of what Christ is like. Because that person's actually overcompensating. They're trying to peacock, which I call it is, which is trying to show their feathers to say, hey, I'm the big boss Oga here. But not knowing that power isn't you being able to lord it over people. Power is actually you being able to have authority and being able to be responsible with it. That's the true nature of power. But yeah.
I like what you're saying there because what we're looking at here is also a personality type.
Yeah.
So it's like that, you know, it's like King Saul in scripture. God said, like, the people crying out for a king. God's like, I want to lead you. They're like, oh, we want a king. So they're like, I'll give us a tall guy. Look at Saul. He was like a leader, where he was a big chicken. Do you know what I mean? But he looked like the man. And interestingly, I was watching, I don't know if you guys know, the songwriter Richard Smallwood. It's one of my favorite back in our time. He's an amazing songwriter. He's done a lot of albums. And although he wasn't an alpha male as such, he said that, bro, I used to watch his videos, his music videos of the concert, because he's a classic guy. So you'd have a big, fantastic choir, and they'd get into this state of worship, and it was just, I'm like, wow. All now I'm looking at him thinking, wow, these people are different. And he said, as soon as I step off the stage, mental health, he'd have depression, anxiety, and I'm like, bro, connect to God and so forth, you know? And this is why you're looking at the alpha male. Those guys help us as men to see certain positive things.
Yes.
But then when they step off, they are vulnerable themselves. Got some quiet people that aren't so influential, but they're just consistently what they are. So it's a very complicated thing. I can't say it's a counterfeit Christianity, but using charisma to get people to choose Christ, I think has got problems if that's probably where you're going. You know, which is another discussion now, right?
You find yourself in hot waters with that charisma, boy.
Oh man, you know. Okay, 256. Okay, let's answer your question. All right. So for people who aren't in Christ yet, how would you advise? I don't know what you mean, but you have to explain more about your question. Unless Kojo knows what she means.
Do you mean like how would the person change, or how would the person get more understanding? That's what I mean.
Yeah, and we're talking about intimacy. I'm not sure if it's in that level, in that context, or something else.
Intimacy is hard.
Sorry, go on.
I said intimacy is not. It's not easy for the guys because obviously, like we've been, like I said, it does what we said at the beginning, which is that we train to not slow down, not think about those particular things. They're not as important. So it's about being able to reevaluate and actually reshuffle the priority. You know, I think we're talking about mental health is big now for men, and really considering that it's because we don't take time to think. We are so constantly on the go that that's the last thing that's on our mind. But actually, it should be the first thing on our mind. But because it's not an extroverted thing where you can show people that you're the best at it. It often gets neglected But the things that we can show that are the best, but we're the best that are able to show to other people, we rejoice in those things because it means that someone else can glorify us and validate us and say, hey, you're the man, you're the this, you're the that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to those things, we're happy to grow in those areas because it means we get validation immediately. But the things that are within the individual sometimes become very hard for us men because there's no instant gratification from it. And so, yeah, we sometimes struggle to be in that area of, we say, intimacy in terms of introspection, dealing with yourself.
I'd love to go just for a moment deeper into why men need to seek the depth of the value of talking and reflecting. I'm gonna give you a story. Like, a friend of mine at work, one of her brother-in-law committed suicide.
Wow.
So he went out, he's got a couple of kids and he's got a wife. Lost his job, couldn't get another job. So obviously the money, right? And men need to provide. Yeah.
The pressure.
So what he did was he went out, bought chewing gum and a pack of cigarettes and brought something out that looked like a weapon, looked like a gun, and waved it around. Police took him out. That was his intention. And I sat there, my heart was racing because I said to her, how do you feel? And she goes, I wish I could have done more. This is her sister-in-law. She goes, I wish I could have done more. And I said, why did you say that? She said, no. And I said to her, what would you have said to him? And there was a long pause. And she said, I wish I could have told him to just wait. That it will get better. Those are the two things. So she says, I'm dealing with a sense of failure. Because I think I could have told him, but I didn't think he wanted to hear it at the time. But I didn't expect him to do that. But if he'd have waited, yeah, he would have gone through some struggles, but he would have gone through on the other side. And what happened was, there's so much to pick out of this.
It's a lot. I like this though. This is good.
I said to her, so about the wife? What about your sister? She goes, she admitted there were signs that he was suicidal. But he was an alcoholic as well, or becoming an alcoholic as a result. But the wife refused to admit what she was seeing.
I understand. There's a lot.
So she's enabling, in a sense. She's not addressing it either. So they're in a relationship and they are not supporting each other's mental health and emotional well-being. They'd rather fake it. Look, he's drinking a lot. Now he's all right. He's all right. No, he's not. Did you hear what he was saying the other day? This is real. No, he's all right. He's all right. Because she's embarrassed.
It's tight.
So he can't. They're not able to connect and communicate to avoid what he did. And they said on camera, you got him on camera at the shop and on his way to the way he was waving around his supposed gun. He was so intent. Now, this is the thing about men. Men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. Now, what does it mean to commit suicide? I think that men and women, from the stats I've looked at, are equal when it comes to attempts. In fact, actually, women are attempting to commit suicide more than men. That's a fact. How do they do it? They start to cut, or they might take some pills. But it doesn't work. It's a soft approach. Then, when they go, they go. So, like when you're on a train and the train is delayed,
it's because more likely
2 people a day are committing suicide on British Rail. This is why we have delays, but they don't tell you for privacy reasons. Men go for it. They take a gun. You know, they will do whatever comes into their mind. They're going to do it. Finish the job. And this is why men are 3 times more successful because the social construct and the program, like you said, bro, that's running in the back isn't allowing that information and their experience to come out of their mouth. It's being recycled on the inside and poisoned them. But I know what that's like. Because what I used to do more so is I will have friends around me. Still not say anything.
Yep.
But let me tell you, I refuse to shut my mouth now. Because I don't care what you think about me. You're going to hear what I got to say. You're going to hear it. Kojo, if I have to call you, bro.
I'm ready, brother. You already know, bro.
Okay. And this is it. Men, open your mouth and look stupid to save yourself.
Yeah.
That's the worst it could be.
That's raw spit, you know. It's raw spit. That's raw spit. That's raw spit. It's raw spit. We need to open our mouths. I think that's honest truth. It's honest truth. We don't like being embarrassed. We don't like being embarrassed. The program don't allow us to do so. Can't be embarrassed. You can't be vulnerable. You can't, because all of it is played into our masculinity. You can't look weak. You cannot look weak. So anything that speaks against the masculinity of what your strength is gets pushed to the side. That's why you don't cry. That's why you're not allowed to have time to feel sad. Nah, man's got to get over it. You know, I can't be affected by it. And money's a big one. I think a lot of times when I say suicide, it's because of money. And it's because money, again, is tied into the identity of your masculinity. It's a sense of, this is what makes a man. If you stop providing, your man has gone. You stop providing, your man has gone. And that's the coding that's been given, you know? And so once that's gone, oftentimes it feels like there's no hope for a lot of guys. And then the next step is, boom, take one's life.
All right, with that in mind, I'm going to ask you, we've got about 5, 6, 7 minutes, right? No, about 5 minutes, we finished early. Tell us what we need to do, bro.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, for the next, however long you're going to take. And bro, you know what? If we have run over, we're going to go into the next one. You know what I'm saying? If you've got the time.
I've got some here now, bro.
Tell us what we need to do as men. Tell us how to avoid these classic pitfalls, man.
Yeah. I think first thing for us guys is dealing with the emotions that you're feeling. And I think the first thing one has to tell themselves is that it's okay to feel how you feel. It's okay to feel how you feel. That's the first thing I would say to you. Number 2 is your feelings do not make you look weak. Your feelings do not make you less of a man. Your feelings do not strip you of your masculinity. Your feelings are a part of you being a human being. Right. So it's essential that you feel feelings. There is no human being on earth that doesn't feel feelings, okay? So this is important to be able to have that room to say, hey, this is my feelings. Don't invalidate your feelings. Don't tell yourself, it's not good to have these feelings. Now, you're allowed to have those feelings. You're allowed to able to process that by saying, hey, this is my feelings. This is why I feel the way I feel. And you're allowed to marinate on that and say, hey, this is actually why I feel the way I feel. You're allowed to do that. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't take away your masculinity to do those things. If anything, it solidifies your masculinity because you go into a form of being almost inhumane, trying to become this superhuman robot. You have feelings for a reason. God has feelings. You got feelings. You know what I mean? And I think the next part of that also is the injection of knowledge, which is being able just to research about personality traits, your love languages. There are so many different ones out there in terms of what makes you you. I think this is very important. It's being able to get in touch with who you are, being able to understand your makeup, being able to understand the way that you think. Those are very, very key. I mean, the number one book I would say first was Love Languages. I think when anybody reads that book, your mind just changes the way that you understand. Because a lot of our problems are to do with love anyway. So it changes the way that you understand what you need and why you give out what you give out. I think so. If any book I can recommend to you guys, Emotional Intelligence, Love Languages are two key books for any male to be able to start saying, hey, let me start doing the work within myself. And I think third is having somewhere to be able to speak your feelings freely. You know, I think this is probably why I have a female best friend, because guys sometimes we're a bit tight with the feelings. You know, you express yourself and your boy be like, all right, cool, I appreciate that, sir. No, don't do that to me, bro. Don't do that to me, bro. So having someone that you can be able to express these thoughts to, that are not going to judge you for those thoughts. You know, if you've got someone who's going to judge you for those thoughts, you might want to reconsider that friendship. If you're having to express yourself and think to yourself and know that they're gonna try and judge your feelings or even belittle your feelings, that is not a friendship you should have been in the first place. Time to vacate, time to find some new friends, because that's only going to lock you into your own world, you know? So that's another situation again. So just finding the right person to be able to do that. And I think just slow down. That's the final thing. Slow down, man. Men, slow down. Have time to think. Have time to process. Have time to begin to take in what's going on. Slow it all the way down. And I think that's the place I would start. Obviously, for us as Christians, prayer is very key. Asking God what parts of you that are dark, that need some light. Yeah, that can always open up some serious... You know, God is not looking for the shadabadadaba every single time. He's looking for a person who's conscious. You know what I mean? What parts of God need work? You know what I mean? And that is where God can say, hey, this is where it needs to be worked. And now we can start to work on those things as well. So for me, that's what I would say, bro. I don't know if you want to add any more to that substance.
No. That'd be wrong for me to add to that, man.
Bro, man, we're sharing here, bro. You added some minerals.
Yeah. You know something? It's like, it is not for me to take away or to always add to. Sometimes it's like, you know, you have fed us. This is I appreciate your time, and it is not really. I mean, I could talk all night, but it's really just knowing the moment what we're about, and that is about what you said. That is it. I appreciate your time humbly. Thank you so much. I tried to squeeze it in 2 hours because
I know.
I respect for people, you know, and so forth. So I appreciate your time. I don't know you got time, but I appreciate your time. Someone said enough salt. That's what I'm saying.
No tea, living bread, baby. You already know.
This is it, man. But yeah, appreciate your time, man. You are continue feeding. Love to have you back.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll chat after this, man. Guys, next week we have what women should know. Ooh. What women need to know. 3 days on that.
I'm chaining on that.
Yeah, I think the men should run that one still.
Oh yeah,
tell them what they need to know. You get me?
Because I'm writing there.
How they gonna know if they don't ask us? You know. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights we're gonna be dealing with women. This weekend we're gonna be having a conversation also about this madness of this whole race. Yeah, we're gonna be doing that this Saturday at some point, man. So thank you guys. See you soon. Bless you. Take this knowledge and use it, please.
By the grace.
Listen, man. Take God in your hand and walk. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk, and your first ministry is your home. That's enough salt now. All right, cool. Kojo,
yes, sir.
Hats off, man. Peace.
We'll take it, man. Hats, man.
No, that's cool. 28 seconds, man. God bless you, bro.
God bless you, sir. Thank you very much for the platform to speak, man. It's an honor.
Anytime. Thank
Shout
you.
Me, man. We have to talk outside of this, man.
Okay. I'm feeling it. I'm gonna call you tomorrow.
Yeah, please do, man. I'm free all day. You already know it's COVID.
All right, tomorrow. You know, tomorrow.
Safe, bro.